sure, look. It'll be grand.
Sure, it'll be Halloween. See, that
very
time,
original.
that time it
classic
was
and spooky.
absolutely perfect that time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Halloween special. Literally, because it's Halloween, and also we're doing Halloween. I'm here. My name is Owen. Dan is here. Hello, Dan.
I'm doing a Halloween scream.
You're doing a Halloween scream? Did you do it internally? Okay, yeah, that's better.
It's good that your Halloween scream decided to show up that time.
And also Kevin is here. Kevin,
I am also here.
Kevin is our designated for this episode resident horror slasher. I don't know. I'm sure you're an expert in something at some point.
You're slasher. That is a controversial claim as well.
I'm just glad that someone considers me an expert in something.
Yeah, well, listen, one of us has to be, and we did rock paper scissors. You get to be the expert this time. All right. Next time we'll do.
It's very difficult to do rock paper scissors with 3 people present. Let me tell you that.
We figured it out though.
We should extend it a little bit as well because yes, it is fair. Kevin is into horror movies, especially Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Ourselves, Owen, we're not really mad into horror movies, are we?
No, not at all. I once made the brave and bold claim on Twitter that there has never been a good horror movie ever.
Now, let's be fair. Now, we have to be fair here. We have to be fair here. There is a slight bias there because you are terrified of horror movies as well.
I'm terrified of a specific type of horror movies. Things like Halloween and Friday the 13th are not scary. They're dumb, right? I'm scared of.
Dumb doesn't mean it's bad.
Things that are and anything to do with like possession and spooky ghost stuff. I'm not going to watch it. It's just never going to happen.
So the Ring, The Grudge, like Haunting a Hill House, that kind of shit.
I've seen 2 out of 3 of those.
Oh, okay.
And no.
All right.
That was funny. Given that you're including possession here, technically that counts Child's Play as it's one of the scary ones because that movie's about possessions. That entire series is.
Well, that's about a doll, which makes it doubly creepy. Like
you
Annabelle.
don't like puppets at all.
I hate puppets and those porcelain doll looking things. I despise them.
You should watch The Boy. It's a movie about the boy who is a porcelain doll. And this old couple hires a babysitter to take care of their porcelain doll.
Yeah, I don't think I should, to be honest.
It's actually terrible.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I will ever watch anything that anyone recommends to me that has anything to do with this. Unless, of course, it's Halloween, which is what we're going to talk about this week. Halloween, the original, the best, the only good one.
We have to specify that because of this series, which spans 12 movies at this point, 3 of them are named Halloween.
The newest one to release, Halloween Ends, that came out like a couple of weeks ago, is the 13th installment in the franchise.
I was close. I didn't even look it up.
Yeah, that was unlucky number 13 because it's been hailed as very not good. But
I haven't had a chance to see it yet. But
we're going to talk about the original 1978's Halloween, directed by John Carpenter, the master of stuff. People really, really like John Carpenter.
And talk about made on a shoestring budget as well. Like this was done in just over 2 weeks, $300,000. It was nothing.
There's like a story about the producer for this. He approached about it, okayed it nearly immediately because he's like, I only need $300,000 for it, and he was producing another movie at the time that was costing about $300,000 a day. So he was like, no problem, you can have that.
So that's pocket change.
Yeah, and made a lot of money. John Carpenter, of course, if anybody's not familiar with him, I mean, I'm going to name a couple of films and you'll definitely have seen one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Escape from New York. The Fog. The Thing.
Yeah.
Right? Escape from LA, of course. Village of the Damned.
I can't believe you did a Fantastic Four movie.
What?
The Thing.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Good. Cool.
It was an interesting take on the backstory I wasn't expecting.
It worked for me, I think. Finally, the Fantastic Four are interesting. But yeah, that's John Carpenter. He's done a lot of things. Who is in the first Halloween? Fucking Donald Pleasance as Dr. Sam Loomis, the
fantastic in this as well.
fucking idiot of a doctor. But yeah, he's there. And Jamie Lee Curtis, who everybody knows now. But at the time,
Excuse me, not an idiot of a doctor. Fantastic doctor that loves hiding in bushes and scaring kids. Going, "Roar."
he's a very weird, very weird man.
He's the only medical professional in this movie who actually like does his job. In this movie, in the later movies, he goes a bit off the off the far end.
Yeah, but there's one. Which one is it where he's where he says the Sam Hain thing?
That's Halloween 2.
Is that the second one? Yeah,
that's just an American thing in general.
Don't like him because of that.
Yeah.
But Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, is in this. She wasn't a name at the time, but she is now. Of course, everybody knows Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's back for the new ones and stuff.
From royalty, Hollywood royalty as well. Like,
yeah,
you know, her mother and father, like big names.
She owes everything she has to nepotism. You're right. Very well put, Daniel. A valiant point in favor of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Kevin and I were talking about this before as well. Just to go back to the Doctor, there were other people like asked to play the role.
Yes,
I let Kevin speak about that because I don't want to just make it up on my own.
Yeah, so like Donald Pleasance wasn't the first person who was asked. There's two other actors who were notably asked. I don't know about like anymore, but the two that were notable were Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, and both of them turned down because they saw as way too little money for playing a role, which is fair. Like the movie had such a small budget, and then later on, Christopher Lee went on to say it was the biggest mistake of his career to turn down that role, which is bold to claim given some of the movies I've seen Christopher Lee appear in. But
but see, the thing is, one thing you say about Christopher Lee, he might appear in some stinkers, but he was always like brilliant in them.
Oh, he always was, yeah.
But I want to see the movie where he was in Halloween, hiding in bushes, scaring kids. Like I want to see that. I literally can't imagine it. You know?
Yeah, there's an alternate universe out there where we see the Christopher Lee version of this film, and he went to appear in all of the various sequels. And that's an interesting thing to think about.
And Donald Pleasance is Saruman.
That's another interesting one to think about.
No, you've got me interested now. I'd watch that. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Which is really impressive, to be fair to him, because he died in 1995.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he died before the last of the like original set of movies could come out. Like he appeared in it, but he died before it released. Oh. So they changed the ending because the ending of the original director's cut, which they have released a director's cut, but they changed it so that his character dies in it. Whereas in the original, like they baited a sequel where he led a druid cult that was related to Michael Myers in some way. By the way, this
Lord
movie,
Sam Hain.
This movie, just so you know, is garbage. Like terrible. I'm talking about the like sixth sequel. I can't remember. It's like Curse of Michael Myers.
Can we jump on the Sam Hain thing though? Because this is a cultural thing. So obviously, like if you're from Ireland, we call it sound because that's how you pronounce it. But I've heard someone saying, like they literally posted on Facebook saying, "Oh, I know sound is the proper pronunciation, but it doesn't sound scary at all compared to Sam Hain." And I'm just like, Sam Hain sounds like a weird Halloween Disney character they make. That's, you know, the Tom Hanks clip where he's like, he's on Saturday Night Live and he plays some weird sort of Halloween character. Like that's the kind of Sam Hain what I would think of anyway.
That's a weird take. I like when I hear the words Sam Hain, I don't actually like gravitate towards. Yeah, that sounds scary.
Yeah,
I guess that's just my brain immediately going, someone fucked up saying Samhain.
Yeah. I guess the budget didn't extend to learning how to pronounce things that you put in your script or what they mean.
Yeah.
You know, it's not.
To be fair, that's a Halloween 2 problem, not a Halloween 1 problem.
But we'll get there. Let's dive right in. Let's see. Let's do what the hell is going on here, and Kevin can take us through the history and the ins and outs of Michael Myers and the movie Halloween.
I mean, what the hell is going on?
So where do you want me to start? Start this movie, or do you want me to just go deep into Michael Myers' fucking weird history?
Oh, fuck it. Let's go deep. Who's Michael Myers?
Michael Myers, it depends on your canonicity. Either he's some fucked up kid or some druids made a cult to raise the ultimate evil. One of those is true to this.
I mean, okay, but so in this movie, he's just
Yes,
he's just a guy who likes to kill people, right? Or well,
pretty much.
Dr. Loomis will say he's literal evil, I guess, a couple of times or whatever.
That's
But he's just
actually
a guy.
that's based off of a thing. John Carpenter, when he was in college, did a tour of a psychiatric hospital, and there was a kid there that looked him in the eyes, and Carpenter was like, "That kid looked at me with a look of pure evil," and apparently in his brain, he's like, "I want to make a movie about that kid." And he also, his other goal with Michael Myers was to make him completely unrelatable. He wanted no one in the audience to relate to Michael Myers. So that's basically what you need to know about him as a character. He is this unrelatable, emotionless monster man who stalks towards you with a knife, ready to kill you.
Any of you guys relate to Michael Myers? No.
No, I know a few people.
No,
No,
me
his,
either. I don't. No, what? No, I don't relate to Michael Myers either. What are you talking about?
No. I definitely can't relate to that fashion sense.
I have one single question I'd like to ask about Michael Myers that maybe there's not an answer to. Where's the mask come from? What is it?
He finds it.
No, the original mask. I can explain that.
The one he's wearing in Halloween, yeah.
Oh, right. He gets it from, but I can tell you where they made the mask from.
You could tell me both.
Okay, so actually, it's a Captain Kirk mask that's been painted white with the eyes cut out and bloated out a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So like Star Trek, I don't know where he gets it from. I guess like I was talking to Kevin this before. You know, he partook in Halloween as a kid. There's every chance he went into some sort of store and just, I guess, I don't want to say bought a mask.
Well, no, he doesn't have any money, so.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have anything come out of there. He still gets stuff. So
we know where he gets the overalls and stuff, right? Like it's shown in the movie that he kills a mechanic and takes his outfit. Was the mechanic wearing that mask as well?
No. Here's the thing: we also know that he actually stole weapons because there's a scene, like partway through the movie where Laurie and her friend drive past a cop. And the cops are investigating someone who stole a bunch of knives from a store overnight, and they're like, "Ah, it's just some kids doing pranks." And they might have actually even said that he stole a mask as well. I can't 100% remember it there now. But yeah, so we know where he got some of the stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I feel like they don't. There's an explanation for where the rest of the stuff comes from, but he just has this mask on all the time.
To be fair, it's not the hardest thing to have stolen. Like, he stole a gravestone in this movie.
Yeah, that's a fair point. He did do that. Yeah.
So like him swiping things out of stores isn't exactly the most unbelievable part of this.
True.
The most unbelievable part is where he learned to drive. But.
You had to choose it. That's the thing that gets me, because as much as I don't understand him, like, there is intelligence going on there. Like, you know, they make a point that he's been staring at a wall for the last 15 years. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been talking. He is just basically like, there's no spark in him. But now it seemed like he was biding his time the whole time. And everything he does in this movie seems meticulously planned and thought out to fuck with people. Like, yes, I get it's a movie, so obviously the people who wrote the script, the director, they've planned this. But within the world, like, this is a man that likes to tease fear. He likes to play with his victims. He makes sure it's a big sort of ongoing drama that only he is aware of at the end until, you know, they get killed by him. Yeah. So like, there's some sort of intelligence going on here, like, especially because, you know, he also learned how to drive, even though he got, you know, thrown into a mental home when he was a kid. Yeah. So, like, there's some intelligence going on there.
They drive automatics in America, so it's fine.
I mean,
just get in and go.
Yeah, I'm surprised he just found his way back, to be honest, no matter.
He knew exactly how to get back to name of town in movie.
Haddonfield.
That's the one.
Yeah, I remember, like, there's a line that Dr. Loomis says in the movie where like someone says like, how could he have learned to drive? And he says, oh well, maybe one of the staff taught him. I don't know. And that's somehow the most plausible explanation to
Yeah.
it. There's no other like possible way where it's like, yeah, no, like the only thing I think of is maybe when he was a kid, his dad let him back the car out the driveway or something. That's the only thing I can think of him getting any experience.
Well, I guess
because
what age was he when he kills his sister at the start? He's like 6. He's 6 years old, right? Which is pretty fucked up. But again, at this point in this movie, he's just a kid who likes to kill things, right? He's not a literal Celtic spirit that's come back to life or something.
Yeah, no, that doesn't come till much later. And they do some stuff with that plot line.
Everything is still somewhat within reason in this movie, you know, except that one scene when Jamie Lee Curtis is looking out the window and she sees him at the washing line, and she doesn't seem to like look away, and he disappears in front of her. Like that gets me a little bit. It's like, okay, I don't know how he managed that, but fair enough.
Yeah, thinking back on that scene, I always thought like, oh, there was a good reason why he disappeared, but no, not really. He just walked away while she was looking, and she got freaked out.
Now it's like scary movie has taken the piss out of that kind of thing.
He did the like Homer reversing into the bushes. Very, very slowly like reversed himself around the corner, which was the creepiest part of it. Because it was so creepy they couldn't show that in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, this movie creepy as all hell. Especially the section like where the section before the killing starts, where it's just like Michael Myers in the background building the tension up. I think works really well. There's like an extended part where he's following around Jamie Lee Curtis and her friend, who I think was named Linda.
Lindsay. No, there's a Lindsay and a Linda.
Is there?
There's both. Yeah. I don't know which is which, but there's both.
But,
no, Lindsay's the little kid, I think.
Okay. But yeah, they're both in the car together, and they're driving around, and in the background of the shot as they're driving, you can see Michael Myers is tailing them in his own car, which, like, I'm going to put aside the driving thing for now, which is like, it's really tense and creepy, I think.
I would say something that this movie does, and as much as this, like, spawned countless other like serial killer murders people franchises and whatever, something that this does that like the newer ones and modern movies like it don't bother with anymore is building tension. Like but this, in my opinion, it builds it a little bit too long before he starts actually doing shit. But it there's so much of this movie is just non-stop, is like, it's Michael Myers just looking at people and just standing weirdly in the background, and every once in a while, like, Laurie's like, you don't see that guy? And or, oh my God, he's back again. There's that creep in his automobile who's like staring at young girls. And it's just like, it's a constant thing of you going, oh my God, no, this is the moment. He's going to kill someone. He's going to kill her now. No, now.
That's what I mean, though. There is a level of game to this for him. Like, he is playing. Like, he has rules to his games that he's not breaking. He has a way of doing this. Obviously, he planned this now over 15 years, I guess. But
I wouldn't say plan, like, exactly, because him specifically targeting Jamie Lee Curtis and her friends seems to only arise because they arrive at the Myers house. And he starts stalking Jamie. So
yeah, I think that part is just like, he didn't select his victims that far in advance. He just chose them by happenstance.
How he approaches his victims, I say, he is planning. Like.
Well, he has the entire day to stalk them and like figure out where they're going and everything.
Yeah, does this all happen in one day?
It takes place on Halloween night.
Okay.
On Halloween.
On
Halloween,
yeah.
And that was actually done for budgetary reasons. They were going to have it take place over multiple days, but decided instead to put on one to limit the number of scene like changes and costume changes, because they had no money for this movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, in fairness, there's like 2 locations in this thing, really. In all honesty, there's outside the house and inside the house, really.
Yeah.
I know there's what they do go to different houses, but they're like, for filming purposes, they were probably all the same house that they just like rearranged the furniture.
In total, there's 3 houses in this movie. and we see the insides
Yeah.
and outsides of both.
But they're all probably the same house, really. Like the inside scenes, they just changed the furniture around and redressed
Yeah.
everything. But this is so. Mihal Myers, if to give him his Celtic name, I suppose he's escaped from a mental institution that he's been in since he was 6 years old, and
Yes.
he just likes killing things, right? Like as a character, is there any like? There's not a. He's a presence to me more than he is a thing. Like he's just like
it's kind of, and this is a weird comparison to make, but stay with me. It's kind of like the idea of it's the same thing that makes Scream work. It's more so the idea of someone just randomly one day deciding they're going to kill people around them. You know, that's kind of a thing with Scream, and that's a thing with this as well, where like it's just some guy who's started killing people, and we don't really know why. Like for this guy at least, for Scream they go in depth for it.
Scream. Yeah, Scream is a bit different, I think, because like a lot of Scream is based on playing off the fact that there's a bunch of other movies that do this, and it's a little bit satirical at times, and it's supposed to be just like this is happening because this happens all the time sort of thing. It's just like it's a trope by the time Scream comes around.
Like it's very trope savvy, and you know even Halloween got in on it in H2O and Halloween Resurrection, which oh god, Halloween Resurrection is a movie that exists. Very quick warning: don't watch Halloween Resurrection if you can, audience. Please don't do that to yourself unless you want to see Michael Myers get beaten up by kung fu by Busta Rhymes.
That's exactly what I want to see.
Okay, then I highly recommend Halloween Resurrection.
I'm going to watch Halloween Resurrection immediately. Yes, let's do that one. Does Michael Myers ever go to space? That's what I want to know.
No, he actually managed to avoid that specific trope of horror movie villains.
More of a Jason thing.
Jason is the superior bad guy, then,
Well,
isn't he?
the
Leprechaun
Leprechaun went to space too.
Leprechaun
And
did go to
Pinhead.
space. Pinhead went to space?
Yep, there was I think it was the 5th Hellraiser movie. Pinhead went to space.
There's a new one of those out as well. Is it out? It's coming out. I can't remember.
It's out, I think.
Hellraiser. Yeah. So let's talk Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie then, who I understand in her return in like the newer sequel boot thing, whatever.
Yeah.
That like in this one she's just the victim, right? She's a final girl in this one. Like I know like she's the one who survives and whatever, but it's not like in the newer ones. There's a little bit more of a like she's gonna fight back sort of thing. In this, she just runs around terrified a lot.
Yeah, but like, basically, it's what happened to Sarah Connor. Because like, oh, this one night happened to me, like so many years ago, and I've never been able to get past it. I always think that this guy's gonna come back, especially since no one killed him when he got away, and you arrested him. It's to be fair, I do think after rewatching this, I do think it is a little bit weird of a jump to go from Halloween to Halloween, I guess is another name, because when you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, the relationship between like Mike Myers and Laurie is built up so much in other movies like Halloween 2 and Halloween H2O. And they go into the Halloween 2018, and it's just like, oh yeah, they have this link to each other because she survived that night and he never got to kill her, and she's been training her whole life. Even though in the new timeline they're not related, because they decanonized Halloween 2 in the new timeline.
Is that a good thing? Do you think?
It's definitely a thing. I mean, it put a clean palette onto the story, I think, because so much of it had been like, so much of the story is weird that just bringing it back to basics, removing elements that don't really add anything, like them being siblings. When you really think about it, doesn't add that much to the story.
No.
And if it's a random killing, it makes a lot more. I don't want to say poignant, but like. It makes it a lot more hard to deal with, I guess, for Laurie, because this could have happened to anyone, but it happened to her.
Yeah.
So I get
that Jason picks her out as like, you know, the final girl. Like he really does build all the murders around her.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to want to at least culminate in her murder.
Yeah.
Because he goes for each of her friends first, like just across the road, like literally just across the road from her, and all the kids know, but she has no clue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell you one thing, the boyfriend deserved to die. All right, because that man
2 second sex.
Well, that man, I think, is possibly a pedophile. All right.
Oh,
there's a very
glasses,
there's a no, it's not even the way he looks. There's a very weird conversation about halfway through this movie, right before Michael Myers starts killing them, and it's him and his girlfriend, and they're in the house on their own, and she says something about let's go upstairs, and the boyfriend says, "Oh, I get it. First, I undress you, then you undress me, then you undress Lindsay." Lindsay's the 8-year-old girl in the movie. She's the small child. Because I had to pause it. When I watched it again, I had to pause and I had to go, no, surely he's not talking about the child, is he? But that's what he says. That's the joke that he makes.
Are you sure? Did he not say Linda?
He said Lindsay. And your one just kind of laughs a little bit because Lindsay's the little girl that they're supposed to be babysitting, but she's been brought over to Laurie's house. She's supposed to be there.
You know what? I don't usually get to say this about murders in slasher movies. That's a lie, by the way. I usually do get to say this about murders in slasher movies, but deserved.
Yeah, deserved. That guy should be dead. We should be thanking Michael Myers for his service.
You know what, Michael? You get one clap for a good pick. That's one clap.
Well done, Michael Myers. You picked your picks.
Unfortunately, I have to take that clap away because you did murder and eat a dog. So
he ate the dog?
Didn't you hear Loomis said, like, they see a dog that's all like fucked up and his guts torn out, and Loomis says he got hungry.
Oh, I didn't think that was.
I thought it more of a.
Yeah, I didn't think it was literal.
Death,
yeah,
not like scrumptious.
I thought it was like he couldn't not kill something any longer. I don't know. Maybe he did literally eat the dog. Jesus.
I mean, like, it's kind of a thing for Michael to constantly kill dogs, like, going forward in the franchise. He does it a lot.
It is the easiest way to let everybody know that this is a bad, evil person.
Yeah.
If they are mean to a dog in any way, it's immediately everyone goes, oh, we don't like this guy. Huh?
Yeah, that's why they showed an extended scene of him choking a dog out in this movie.
Yeah. The dog's whimpering didn't... I'm not an expert on dog whimpering.
Mm-hmm.
But it went from barking to going. It didn't feel like a snap death. It just kind of felt like it was sad for a while looking at him. I don't know. It just caught me off.
Maybe it looked into his eyes as it died, and he's like, "I feel sorry for you. You'll never know the love of a dog." I
pity you.
The greatest way to harm Michael is pity.
Yeah.
From was it a German Shepherd? I think was the dog.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, so Michael, he goes on his killing spree. He kills Linda. He kills Annie. He kills Bob. I want to say is the boyfriend's name.
Bob the pedophile.
I don't. Yep, Bob the pedophile. I think worth noting about Bob is I think this is the only role the actor did, like, ever in his career. Whereas the other ones have done other things.
I want to say that's one sturdy kitchen knife.
It's one long kitchen knife.
I thought the exact same thing. Man, when he hangs Bob up from the fucking knife, first of all, the blade is not that long. Okay?
Yeah.
No,
that's not how that knife should work, right? It just shouldn't happen like that.
And I understand he's like mental, so he has probably like mental power, like strength, but that's some strong upper body strength he has. He holds him up by one hand and stabs through him and into the board behind him with the other hand, and he stays up there. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
There's like the scene that like where he like tilts his head, like the iconic Michael Myers head tilt after a kill. I think he was just confused about how that worked logistically.
He's like, what am I?
Like, how did I do that? That
Yeah.
like that's absurd even for me.
Well, I guess that's why, like, do you think maybe the Celtic stuff, was that the franchise trying to explain the fact that he's like some sort of unkillable superhuman?
I think it kind of has to be, because every slasher reaches the point where like how do you like explain how this guy isn't dead yet? You know,
Because he
Like-
gets shot a lot in this one.
like, oh, you should see some of the punishment he takes in later movies. Like, there in one of the movies, he gets shot like by a firing squad, falls into a river, drowns a bit, wakes up, goes back unconscious, goes into a coma for a year, wakes up the next Halloween, and immediately strangles out the guy who took care of him.
Yeah, that reads. Do all the other movies also take place over the course of a single Halloween night?
Yes. Well, like sometimes there is a bit of like a preamble, but generally it is over Halloween night. In fact, Halloween 2 is set on the same Halloween night as this movie.
Huh.
How does that work?
So basically, you know, at the end of this movie, Michael disappeared from the yard after getting shot.
Yeah.
He time traveled backwards.
No, it followed. Basically, ambulances come, pick up Laurie, bring her to the hospital. Michael continues killing a bit through the town and eventually follows her to the hospital, where he starts absolutely slaughtering his way through hospital staff to get to Laurie.
And is so in Halloween 2, is Michael Myers visibly injured from the bullet wounds? Like, does he,
No.
or has he just healed instantly and everything, and he's back to full strength?
Michael Myers has a healing factor, I think, is something that
Michael
needs to be said.
Michael Myers is Wolverine or something, I think. at
Pretty
this point.
much. He takes such an absurd amount of damage. So yeah, like Halloween 2 takes place on the same Halloween night. Then Halloween 3 is a completely different universe, not at all connected to this Halloween. They in fact watch this Halloween in Halloween 3. On TV. Don't question it, it's just a thing that happens. Then in Halloween 4, people were mad because Michael Myers wasn't in Halloween 3, so John Carpenter stopped directing, and they got some new guys, and they were like, what if we said that Laurie Strode had a kid and died in a car crash off screen, and we follow the kid. And in this timeline, Laurie is Michael's younger sister, so this kid is his niece, and it's Janie Strode is her name, so a little send up to Jamie Lee Curtis. And in the first movie, she's like, oh, this really sad kid actress who gets bullied and also is being hunted by Michael Myers. And then the next one, she loses her voice, and it's even sadder to watch her go around. And in the fourth movie, in the third movie, she's kidnapped by the Druid cult and forced to have a baby that will be the next Michael Myers. And they don't do this in the non-director's cut. They don't tell you how she got pregnant. In the director's cut, they tell you, and oof, that story beat. But anyway, she dies. Her baby gets taken care of by Paul Rudd, who is playing the kid from this movie. By the way, he's playing Tommy, yeah.
No, I didn't know Paul Rudd was in a Halloween movie.
Paul Rudd is in, I think it's Curse of Michael Myers. And it's bizarre. Let me tell you that.
Wow.
He is playing the role so weirdly, but he's also like, basically the night changed him, and he's like really into the mystery of Michael Myers. And there's cult shit, and they go back to a hospital too. And I don't know, that movie's really confusing, and I don't fully understand it. And the cult that controls Michael don't actually control Michael, and he kills the entire cult. Anyway, that timeline ended there, and they're like, what if we didn't do that?
Which one? That's the fifth movie?
So that would be the sixth movie, because Season of the Witch is the third, technically.
Oh, so that, okay. And then they did H2O, which
H2O.
Is it just called H2O? Like, is water a thing in Halloween?
No,
H2O?
it's Halloween 20 years later.
Yeah. So they weren't really thinking
H2O.
about. They weren't trying to make some sort of a.
It's the first movie, but it's all set underwater.
That's what it's like. It's Avatar 2.
You'd think that
Halloween
it's,
franchise.
it's Michael Myers versus the shark from Jaws.
Michael Myers in Sharknado. That's what it should be. Just
It's just a tornado with Michael Myers.
yeah, it's just a giant tornado causes 1,000 Michael Myerses to fall on Haddonfield. And they have to fight. It becomes a purge scenario where everybody's just fighting a war against a team of Michael Myerses. All of them played by. It doesn't matter. They're all wearing masks.
Yeah, I think we need to contact Sci-Fi. This idea is going to get greenlit no matter what.
William Shatner, Captain Kirk.
Yes, he's not even wearing the mask. He's just his own face. His own face is bloated enough now that he doesn't need the mask.
Oh.
So yeah,
Ouch!
The 20 years later timeline is much less complex. It's basically continue from Halloween 2. Laurie is Michael's younger sister, and now she has a son. She doesn't have a daughter, and also she doesn't die in a car crash off screen, which I think we can all agree is a better use of her character.
He must eBay those masks though eventually, because he's what, 23 in this, right?
He's 21. The credits say 23, but they're actually wrong because he was put into the hospital at 6 and he stays there for 15 years.
Okay. So, but he must source the mask after a while, because what age is he in the latest one?
In the newest one, he has to be in his 60s, I think.
Yeah.
60s, maybe 70s.
But still strong.
And actually, in the newest one, he's wearing the same mask from this movie.
Like a physically same mask, or
well, it's meant to be the same mask as this movie. They did have to recreate it with weathering and aging and shit.
Yeah.
He's only he's just he's a couple of years older than Laurie then. She's what? She's supposed to be 17?
Yeah, so Laurie was a baby when Michael was a. Yeah, so she's 17 in this movie, and he's about 21, so they're about 4 years apart, which is bizarre to think about when you really you think about it, because whenever, at least for me, whenever I thought of Michael Myers, I thought of oh, he's just this big dude, probably in his 40s or something. But no, he's only a few years older than our main character.
Yeah, he's still a kid, man. He's just making mistakes.
In the mental hospital where no one's looking.
I mean, they just seem to think he stared at a wall all day.
Yeah, but the more they look to, because he's very good at that's why he's so good at doing things when people look away quickly. He's been working out this whole time, because he's been trying to hide when he's working out. So now it's really easy for him to just disappear when people look away for a second. There you go. He's a secret gym bro.
He's a secret gym bro. There you have it, guys. We've figured out Halloween.
Just
no druid cult necessary.
This is a reference I didn't think I'd ever make. You remember the music video for In the Club by 50 Cent?
I am.
He's hanging upside down from the ceiling doing fucking sit-ups upside down. Yeah. That's Michael Myers in his cell. He's just
I imagine an eye roll scene.
Yeah, he's physically hit the ceiling with his feet. There's nothing there to hang out of. He's just dug in to the brick.
The staff come into the room occasionally and they look up and they're like, "Fuck, where do those holes keep coming from?" He's just gripped through it.
This old building is just falling apart. It's not very safe in here. And secretly, Michael Myers is just punching the wall every time they turn around.
It doesn't help that they accidentally have been feeding him protein powder for 15 years.
Do you think he released all the other people in the mental home? Because they're all walking around.
Yeah, I was going to ask this
actually. On purpose.
But did he kill all the staff?
I think he killed a fair few of them on the way out, but we don't actually get a number on how many died.
They don't ever talk about it, really. It's just oh shit, he's out. And it's a 28 days later scenario when they pull up to the gate. There's just people. Oh, you let them outside now? I was no, you idiot. It's the middle of the night.
The only thing is, if he did kill a few people on the way out, surely people would have taken the Doctor more serious when it says, he's coming back there, fucking be careful.
Actually, yeah, you're 100% right. Surely the Doctor could have been no, he's a killer, all he does is kill, and they're he's been locked up for years. Yeah, he just killed the staff of 27 nurses at the hospital that he was in and broke out, okay?
All he knows how to do is kill. It's what are you talking about? He's only killed one person in his whole life.
He only killed that one sister he had 15 years ago.
Wait, are we talking? Is this Halloween 1 or 2? He killed one of his 2 sisters.
Can I just say that nurse who opens up her car window was an idiot?
Mhm.
Like, surely you wouldn't step out of that car, never mind open a window, like.
Yeah, no. Terrible decision. And
Yeah.
weirdly enough, she's actually a recurring character.
She
Franchise.
didn't
Oh, so she
die?
doesn't die?
No, she didn't die. She appears in, I believe she appears in Halloween 2. She's the one who actually drops the information that Michael and Laurie are related. She reappears in Halloween H2O, where she's playing the same character and is killed by Michael as one of the opening kills. And she reappears again in Halloween Kills, I believe, where she points a gun at Michael after unloading all of its rounds into the car roof. She points a gun at Michael and goes, "This is for Dr. Loomis, you bastard." And then she realizes she has no bullets left in the gun and he kills her.
What a classic character we have at our hands here.
There we go. Yeah, absolute classic. I'm so glad that she keeps reappearing to die every time they remake this franchise.
Yes, Jesus Christ. Wow. It kind of like you said what was it you said there a couple of minutes ago? It's all really a bit bizarre when you think about it. I think that's the tagline for this franchise, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like if you just look at the timeline stuff that they have going on, it's all a mess, really.
Oh, you think that's do you want to know the really fucked up thing? I talked about the Druid cult already. You know that guy who's telling Dr. Loomis that he's crazy for thinking Michael got all the way back to Haddonfield? He's the guy who runs the Druid cult. The actor comes back. It's him.
The police officer.
No. The guy in the hospital.
Oh,
like
the
at the
dude.
beginning.
Out. Yeah.
Ah, well, maybe he let him out then.
I mean, like in this, if you go by that timeline, then yeah, that would make sense. But
that's why no one's listening to him and to the Doctor either, because they're all just like, he wouldn't kill, but he will, our Dark Lord. You know?
He's not
Our
ready
Dark
yet.
Lord.
He must feast before he becomes our dark savior, Lord Sam Hayden.
A dark messiah who has risen again. This fucked up kid we found 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Let's put a tattoo on his wrist.
this creepy little child. We must make him our Lord and Savior. God, this is such a strange franchise. But let's talk this movie in particular. We mentioned the budget earlier. Very low by anyone's standards, really, to make a feature film. Do you think? Can you tell?
And sometimes yes, but like a lot of time, I think they stretch the budget really well. Like especially in terms of like, there's a lot of really dark scenes in it, and that's a darkness out of necessity. But they use the darkness so well. Like I'm specifically thinking of that one scene where like Laurie's backed up against a wall, and you can see into like the dark room, and his face slowly starts coming into frame.
Yeah.
I suppose in the modern take of that now, we don't really have stuff like that happen in horror movies anymore because lighting is too professional now. You know, it's very high grade.
There has been actually quite recently that somebody posted a side by side a still of that exact scene from the original and basically a scene from, I don't know, is it the 2018 one or Halloween Kills, or maybe it's been Ends actually, maybe it's when that came out. That's essentially the same scene, but the lighting is completely, like you can see everything and it doesn't have the same effect whatsoever.
No, it's light, like these massive lighting rigs just fucking kill movies.
Because I mean, some of the best scenes is when we see him in the background and it's just like a floating mask in the darkness.
Yeah,
like, that is so iconically, I want to say beautiful. Like, like once you start seeing his overalls and all that kind of stuff, it's just a bit like, oh, okay, you know, whatever.
his overalls are certainly an outfit choice.
It's the Jaws effect, really, isn't it? Like, it's the low budget helped them, just like Jaws when the mechanical shark broke. So you can't see it. It makes it scarier that you can't really see him. I think in this, I think there's times. I think in rewatching this, like there obviously it was made in 1978, so there are parts of it that you kind of go, Jesus, this is it's a bit rough around the edges in places. Like some of there's a couple of, I think the opening scene when it's like, it's all a POV from little kid Michael Myers' thing. Like when he starts stabbing his sister, that's hilarious. I think like that doesn't look good at all.
Nowhere near enough.
He's not even close to touching her with that knife. Like, and he's
No,
also
he's
too
like
tall.
staring at
When
it.
it came out with the knife, it looked to me like a doll's hand.
Yeah,
I know,
he's
like, you know.
he's also like from that camera placement, a really tall 6-year-old. Like he should be looking up at her, but then that doesn't work for film power references. Like if he's looking up, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's some parts of it I think are funny, and it's going to happen when a movie is like what, nearly 40 years old at this point. Like
Yeah, like sometimes its age shows its head a lot, I think, and like I don't think that's a bad thing at all. There's that like some scenes like that where it's like what's happening here? Tiny baby man is walking up the stairs, but he's like a regular sized man with tiny hands.
more than 40 years old. Sorry, Jesus.
Yeah,
2018 was the 40th anniversary, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Fucking hell, old movie, very old movie.
Yeah, wow. Crazy to think. Okay, all right. Any other fun facts about Halloween, or will we dive into our final thoughts on this one?
I had a fun fact I wanted to say, and I said this to Dan after I watched it. Like I sent it to my message, and I said I really like how you can tell what movie John Carpenter was looking forward to making next, because all through the movie they're watching the original version of The Thing.
The Thing from Outer Space, yeah.
Yeah, and the next movie John Carpenter would make is The Thing, which is I think that's great. Like a nice little reference in there. That's the only thing I can really think of in terms of like fun facts. There's probably like a lot of things to say, but oh, I've got one here. The opening POV sequence we were just making fun of took 2 days to film.
Well,
yeah. Okay, sure.
There you go.
Why not? Most of that was figuring out what like thickness of fabric they could put in front of the lens of the camera so that you could still see through it.
I thought it was like a mask they put on, like a camera mask kind of thing. Because I don't see
like a filter.
I don't see any inner folds shifting as they're moving around. It's very static.
Yeah, maybe it was done in post or something afterwards.
Maybe it was a really terrible Halloween mask.
I wouldn't be sorry if they just like took a camera and just plopped on some cardboard with the eyes cut out and just leave it at that. You know,
I'd say that's very likely.
That's probably
I feel bad.
Yeah, they did.
yeah.
I feel bad. Like I don't know if the person holding the camera was the one who had to be the hand actor, but if they had to be the hand actor, they had to stand underneath the big camera, holding their hand up occasionally.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was the cameraman doing the hands thing.
Yeah, no. So I feel bad for the hand actor because they had to stand at whatever awkward position needed for this camera to stare at the stabbing hand.
God, imagine what John Carpenter could do with a GoPro back in those days. All right, let's go. Let's do some final thoughts on Halloween as a whole.
Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
All right, so we know Kevin's a big fan. Dan, what do you think of Halloween?
So it's been a few years since I've watched this. Actually, I've watched it twice in the last 2 weeks. I watched the remaster there. Okay, I think I like it in a different way than it's probably intended. And I don't mean that in this is stupid. No, I genuinely think I'm very impressed with how much was done with so little. Like, this is the kind of movie that seems almost accessible for people who want to go out and like do their own movies or scripts and that kind of thing. It's not, there's no visual effects in this which are like beyond a hobbyist nowadays. You know, everyone has a camera. You could make this movie with your phone, crying out loud. You know, let's be real about it.
Yeah, I think like the equivalent in more recent horror terms is probably something like the Blair Witch Project, which again was made for absolutely nothing, and it spawned a whole slew of that like found footage style horror films and stuff, which people are still kind of playing around with at the minute. Yeah, Halloween, I don't know. I'm kind of with you in the fact that like I don't I didn't. I can appreciate a lot of things about Halloween, and I think I'd liken it sort of to when we watched Ghost in the Shell. In that, like, I definitely would have seen, like, I know I probably saw like Friday the 13th and other ones like before I saw Halloween, and it's cool to watch. Like, you can watch. John Carpenter was a master at this sort of shit. Like, and it's cool to watch him do so much with so little. But it is kind of like, I think there are better ones, maybe. Possibly, I don't know. It's not like I'm not mad about it or anything. I think it deserves its place in like as much praise and love as people give the original Halloween.
Yeah,
not so much the rest of the franchise.
Yeah.
But
It's
like,
an excellent proto version of what's to come.
Yeah, which is exactly what I think I said when we did Ghost in the Shell. That is like, I can see what it did. I can see all the stuff that this like invented and pushed into like horror movies changed forever after this. Right, and it was the same with other things. It's nice. It's cool to go back and see where all the shit that's so tropey and commonplace now came from. That this was kind of the first, or one of the first, really, that like blew up in any big way. I think Michael Myers as a killer doesn't do a whole lot for me, really, to be honest. And I like, in terms of like characters, like, except for the fact that she lives, like, Laurie is not a character, really. Like, in this one, I don't particularly care for her or anything. She doesn't give me anything to be like, no, don't kill her, not Laurie. We love her. But I guess maybe that came later with more appearances, and she came back for a couple of times in the franchise and stuff. But
I think it's more about how it feels to be her rather than you caring about the character for this movie, though. It's more about how you would feel about as the walls are coming in on you, you know, as slowly, your friend hasn't arrived to the place yet. You know, that's as far as I can go, really. But like, that's very much like the boundaries are coming in on her, like, you know, and like, what do you do? Like,
I would say another point, actually, that just dawned on me: the worst people in this movie are her neighbors that don't answer the door.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck is their problem? They're clearly at home.
Here's the fucking thing. They not only are they clearly at home, you can see them in the window.
Yeah, they open the curtain and look out at her, and she's like clearly in distress, and they just go.
Yeah, she makes fucking eye contact with them, and they turn off the light after that. What the fuck? Turn off the light before that. Don't be a more egregious dick about it.
At least have the decency to pretend you're not at home, right? At least
probably know her as well.
But surely they know her. It's a small town, like.
Everyone knows each other here.
They all do. Like, even they all know each other. The police, with the one of the girls that gets killed, Laurie's friend, is the police officer's daughter, right? Like, they all know each other. It's not like they didn't open and go, "Who the fuck is this crazy bitch on our front lawn?" Oh, it's just Laurie. They live next door all her life. Like,
but do you think it's a little bit of that Christianity thing back then, and to a degree now? It's like, because all her friends are openly fucking, you know, very kind of taboo to some religious folks. Maybe she's just seen as part of that group, or we don't deal with that.
Even if she is part of that group, I don't understand what they would be thinking she's up to by knocking at their door, screaming, "There's someone after me, I'm going to die, help me, let me in, please, please."
Well, she doesn't say that exactly. But
well, she doesn't say that exactly, but I didn't write down her
she screams for help, and then I'm pretty sure she screams, "He's going to kill me," or something along those lines at one point. And they just don't. They're just like, no.
Yeah, like,
not dealing with that tonight.
They actually reference this in the 2018 one where Laurie's granddaughter goes looking for help in a similar way, but the people actually answer the door and call the cops. So at least in the 40 years since then, people have gotten nicer in horror movies.
I like that Laurie, when she runs from him and Michael, and she runs in, like, her brother lets her in because it's like, "Please let me in," and it's a whole thing. First thing she does is turn off the lights.
Yeah.
Phone, and it's just like, I get the phone part. Why turn off the lights? Is it
to make it seem like she's not home?
Yeah.
She's to go in there.
She thinks that's what the neighbors should have done. Michael Myers is going to knock on the door and go, "Oh well, I guess she's not at home now."
To be
come
fair, he
back
didn't
later.
knock on the door, so like,
Maybe he's like a moth. He can just see lights.
He's just drawn to the light.
Yeah.
Well, she makes a lot of.
He's a trick or treater. He won't go there if the house lights aren't on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that would kind of work in his mentality, to be fair. Like, he's still a kid in his head in a way, isn't he?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, originally, he was going to be wearing a clown mask like the one he wore when he was a kid. So, like, the original intent was he was going to be kind of more like his kid self, I guess. Or at least dressed like him. But yeah, I generally really like this movie. I don't think it's as crazy as most of the other franchises. At least how they start out. Like, if you look at Friday the 13th, well, I mean, the first Friday the 13th is boring as sin, but like has a good twist. But like Friday the 13th goes straight into doing like interesting weird shit, and then you've got Nightmare on Elm Street, you've got Chucky, you've got all the horror pantheons on like next to Michael Myers. I think Michael Myers definitely deserves it, but I think this movie is one of my less favorites on the horror pantheon. Like when it comes down to it.
I'm more a Freddy Krueger man myself.
That's fair. I'm more Chucky.
Because it's
Sure.
more like Lord of the Rings.
I like Saw.
Do you?
Really?
I actually think the first Saw is a really good movie.
Oh,
I genuinely, yeah. I think I
Oh.
really think the first Saw is very, very clever and really well executed. And same with most of these horror franchises, just goes completely off the rails.
Yeah, like John
Yeah.
Kramer gets to ridiculous levels of foresight and planning, where
Yep.
he's just like, I planned for things so far in advance that it's like literally impossible to understand whether or not I might be God.
He's also died. The character has died like 4 times in different movies at this point, and he's still coming back for another one.
Well, like, no, here's the thing. He wasn't even like he died in 4 movies. They just keep telling about the time he died one time.
Just like he's
They
dead,
keep flashing back
Yep.
to it.
and he's coming back. They're making another one. I think. I actually haven't watched the Chris Rock one yet.
The Chris Rock one isn't about Jigsaw at all.
No, but I must watch
It's
it.
a copycat killer.
Spiral or something it's called, isn't it?
Spiral from the Book of Saw.
That's the one. Yeah, such a weird.
Spyro the Dragon.
Spyro the Dragon is Jigsaw. That's what I'd watch that. Tell you that much.
That's an interesting twist on the character,
Yeah.
giving him flight and fire breath
Oh yeah,
instead
look,
of
listen,
cancer.
you need-
I mean, I'm surprised that wasn't in one of the Halloween movies, to be honest. That Michael Myers
Yeah.
just has that power.
It's so weird to me that Michael Myers, like, in only one of the timelines, has canonically got superpowers. Compared to the rest of the horror pantheon, where it's like, no, yeah, they just like, oh yeah, Jason, he's a zombie now. Don't worry about it. That's why he's unkillable. Don't worry about it.
yeah, don't worry about it. It's
He's
fine.
in Manhattan in that Manhattan movie. He's only there for 20 minutes at the end.
Yeah, actually, Rob Zombie surely would have wanted to give him some sort of flame breath or something when he remade it.
Big thing.
Well, he like in the Rob Zombie one, they focused on giving Michael Myers a backstory.
Classic
Which-
Rob Zombie. Yes.
Yeah, it's really weird to see Hellbilly clash with like suburban horror, which is what this is. This is like horror in the suburbs, but everyone's a Hellbilly character.
Yeah, true. Well, there you go, folks. That's Halloween as a movie and as a franchise. We hope our expert Kevin lived up to his title of expert. If not, we will never let him have it again until the next time he wins rock, paper, scissors. Gets to be called.
I've got a secret to win at rock, paper, scissors every single time. It's called I bring a grenade and tell people to let me win.
That worked this time, yeah. That's why you got to be the expert.
Let's see if it'll work next year.
We will be back soon with another episode on the main show, and What's on the Box is carrying on. The guys are still covering Andor at the
The
moment.
last one on the slate at the moment. We're hoping to do a few movies. Dave and I have been talking about doing some Indian Bollywood movies maybe in the future, because we like special effects and weird shit.
That sounds like a good reason to do Bollywood movies.
Yeah.
Well, I suggest then you watch RRR, which is on Netflix at the moment.
Exactly the one we were talking about.
And is going to be India's submission for Oscars this coming year. and it's absolutely outrageously incredible. And it's not a Bollywood movie. Technically, it's a Tollywood movie. But
have you seen
cutting
that
hairs.
flag scene?
I've seen the movie. Yes.
Oh, but the flag scene. Oh,
So good.
it's so good.
It's genuinely
So good.
such fun. But yes, there we go. That's what's coming up. But we'll do more. We're coming back soon. Thank you to Dan. Thank you to Kevin for his knowledge and expertise and trying to explain Halloween to us. Not an easy task.
I tried my best.
And it almost made sense, which is as much as you can ask for a Halloween movie. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you again soon.
Asherlo.